Okay, so in the prices and units tab, this is where we can add additional units of measure. So when you first set the item up, it's given a default unit of measure that you've got set up in your system set up in Business Vision. But at that point, you can add any number of units of measure. So if I add a new one here, I give it a code. So we'll call this 12 pack. And again, 12 pack. And this is where we tell it how many of them are in a 12 pack. So it says each is per 12 pack. So I put 12 and it says each is per 12 pack. And you could do it the other way around. If you buy these by the case and you want to singleize them, you can switch to 12 packs per each. So either way around that you do it. Okay, at this point, you can decide whether they're allowed to sell a fraction of these or not. So typically on a 12 pack, you wouldn't want to allow it because you wouldn't want to sell a half a 12 pack. You may as well sell singles, 6 singles. And then whether this is a unit of measure you sell in and buy in or both. You can give it a different UPC code because your master pack number or the 12 pack UPC code might be different than what's on the eaches. And then what location in the warehouse they're kept at. That way you can find 12 packs separately from your eaches. And how much it weighs. So if you sell a 12 pack, how many of what weight of this item is taken up. All right, so once you've set all that, if you normally sell this as a 12 pack by default, you can set your selling unit of measure so that as soon as you put this code on an order, it'll automatically come up with a 12 pack unit of measure. But of course, line by line on a sales roll, you can switch that unit of measure to whatever you want. And then you can also set your purchasing unit of measure. So if your purchasing unit of measure is different than what you stock it in, then you can set that as well. Typically, your purchase unit of measure and your stocking unit of measure are quite often the same. Okay, so when you set up your 12 pack, what it does, it automatically takes the selling price of the single item here and multiplies it by 12. But you may give this a better price to them for this. So then you can type in for a 12 pack, it's going to be 2,900 and change it. And then what happens is that number 12 that was up here before comes out and it puts the $2,900 in there. If you ever put the 12 back in here again, it'll switch the prices back to what it was again. So each of your different cell levels can have a different sell price based on their quantities.